questions for Sarah?
I was saying, and breastfeeding is amazing. I was a little nervous about that, but the fact that with her being early, I was worried that my milk might not come in or she might not be able to latch on. I did have to use the little silicone nipple shield to start with for like the first 2.5 weeks, which is this little silicone thing that you put over your nipple, and it basically is like an extender. And it, as the way they explained it in the hospital, and like I said, everybody in the hospital is just amazing. But it stimulates the roof of their mouth a little bit easier, because sometimes with their mouths being so small, they can't get that interaction, and so they needed that stimulation to cause them to want to suck. But yeah, she was fine, and as soon as my milk came in, she was great. We use donor milk to start with, which I think is an amazing program that our hospital has, is that you can either choose to use formula or you can use donor milk from the hospital, which is like a rigorous tested process, and but it's wonderful the fact that you can offer that to your baby versus only having the other option if you want. But either one I think is fine, but that's what we chose to do because she wasn't preemie. We wanted to give her as much as we could. And I had to manually extract the first few days. The pump didn't work for me, so I had to sit there and literally massage the milk out of my breasts to try to get 5 cc's of colostrum. But anything is liquid gold, and you give anything you can get. So you do whatever you can. So yeah. That's our story. A little crazy, but it turned out. Your turn. I want to hear. I heard it's fun.
Yeah. Our story.
Yeah, I was at Gina's today.
Oh yeah.
I heard from all the girls.
All right. Yeah.
Yes,
Right.
Mike loves defending the bar part.
Oh, nice.
Hot seat. She goes from calm to steady. Chairs far away.
Yeah, you can scoot up if you want. And Mike, would you like a chair?
Oh, hi.
Yeah, I know. I was looking down. I was like, hey, there's somebody looking at us.
I don't know where to begin. So I was due on the 9th of January, and I delivered our little girl on the 8th of January. And what? And I actually, when I had gone to the doctor that Monday, I wasn't dilated or anything, so I really was convinced that like she was gonna wait to come. We didn't know girl or boy, and like I just was convinced. I called all the grandparents and everybody was like, you guys need to wait and hold off. I was calling them like Wednesday night, and then I went into labor. Looking back, it was probably like 10 p.m. and it was pretty obvious to me at like 12 a.m. and I delivered her like 22 hours later. And for quite a while, I just kind of labored at home, and that was part of our plan, was to be at home as long as possible. But once the doctor's office, and Anna was our doula, and so we contacted her earlier on, but she had said, make sure you contact the doctor's office, which I had put off, and I wanted to put off because I didn't want to be stuck in the hospital. I was pretty happy at home, and we had a pretty good system going just in terms of like how he could support me, and used like the bath at home, went on a walk, just different things. I didn't really have any like low back pain or anything, but I just liked my husband Mike being present, like where I could feel him, like just near me. But then when the doctor's office opened, we went to Peterson and Schouler, and they wanted me to come in. I think they were a little doubtful that I was actually in labor. In fact, the comment was, well, you weren't dilated on Monday, and this is now Thursday morning, so he really wants you to come in and be checked. And I mean, to me that was like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. Because that Monday when I was in there, my blood pressure was a little high at first, and they had me like lay on my left side. So those of you who have been into the doctor's office, you know, the bed, like the little exam table is like maybe comes mid-thigh, so to lay down, or the thought of even being checked at the doctor's office again was like frightening to me. I was like, you gotta be kidding, I don't wanna go in there. or manage contractions. So my blood pressure was high again. At that point I was 3 centimeters dilated. We had brought everything, like we would be checked in the hospital, but I was really hopeful that we could go home and come back later. But that was not the case. So got checked in, and it was, I mean, pretty manageable for probably a while. Used the tub there, that was great. We kind of had all of the staff to ourselves for the day. Like, it was just us, as far as I know, until like the next day. So we had 2 and 3 nurses. I had Anna there and Mike. Things got a little more serious, like the nurses had kind of gone and taken a break, and we had sent Anna to go get some lunch or coffee or whatever. And it was like at that point, I had gotten out of the tub then, just water had cooled off, and it was like, oh, I could maybe go back later. But at that point, it was just Mike and I was standing up to like manage a contraction, and said to him like, I'm gonna throw up, like you gotta grab something. So at that point, it was, to me, felt like projectile vomiting. It was like everything and no control, and just like shaking, sweating, throwing up, and he was like, oh my gosh. Later he told me that was when
It got real
then. So then it was kind of like, oh, maybe we should have some people come back. You know, I don't know that there's a whole lot of detail. I don't know what people want to know. But eventually, I don't know what time, I decided an epidural was a good choice. Mike and Anna had said my contractions were lasting probably 2-3 minutes at a time, and there was maybe 30 seconds. Maybe 30 seconds. So I just really, I was trying to manage the best I could. It was part of our birth plan that like we didn't rule out an epidural, but I was gonna try to do what I could without. And I just couldn't, like I was either on hands and knees or side of the bed with a ball, like standing up and kind of bent over. And it was just kind of at a point where I was like, I could feel I was decreasing energy, and I felt like I was just gonna like fall in half, like break in half. I was like, I don't know how to manage this. So I asked for an epidural probably twice, and finally, then they got someone to come and check me. I hadn't been checked at that point for the whole time I'd been at the hospital since I first checked in.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that was probably what, 3-4 o'clock?
Yeah,
So I don't know, 15 hours in, and at that point I was 6 centimeters. They're like, let's get you checked first, and I was like, okay. And I'm thinking in my head, like, what's a number that I'll keep going through this? And I think for me, it was like if I were 8 or 9, I might have kept pushing through, but I was 6. And I was like, that's it, hand over the epidural, like, I'm good. And that was, I mean, it was a good point to probably have that done. It was still challenging because you're managing contractions hunched over. They were still lasting quite a while, but it was great after that because I actually could finally like rest a little bit. And I took a nap for a little while, and then later on, and I then quickly progressed. Like, I don't know how much time had elapsed, but next thing I knew, I was 9 centimeters or a little more. So
9
3/4. They were all joking in the room. I was just laying there, but they were joking, how did you come up with 9 3/4? And then the doctor came in and was like, well, I say 9 7/8 or whatever. Like, clearly no exact science. But part of my cervix was still, like, there was still, I could hear them talking that there, like, just a little bit of it was still left. There was still a lip, so I couldn't push or anything yet. Not that I really felt ready to push, but by the time they said I could push, I was feeling, it wasn't just pressure. I mean, through the epidural for probably 3 or 4 hours, maybe, I could feel pressure. I could kind of tell when I was having contractions, but when it came time to push, it became clearer and clearer. Like, I don't know if the epidural kind of had worn off or if it's just that much more intense, but it was clear. I mean, it was everything I could do to not push when they told me to rest. I eventually had to have oxygen, and that was hard because I felt very suffocated. Also, after having the epidural, I wasn't able to like labor and deal with contractions in the same way I had. So like laying there on my back, it was just harder for me. And then, like I said, it got a little more intense. Like I felt more of everything going on. I pushed for like 2.5 hours, and Mike's got, you're the story you always tell everybody.
Oh, it's fun then.
They did have to break my water.
Yep.
Fortunately, there was meconium in those fluids, so they were able to call the nurse practitioner and have that person ready to go. But eventually, and I had to do, she just wasn't like getting engaged in my pelvis, like, so she wasn't really descending very well. Maybe being on my back, I don't know, but that whole process kind of took a while. And the cues of, you know, push, like you're trying to push something out, and then they're using fingers, push my fingers out. None of that really worked. Eventually, Anna tied a sheet on the like bar, which I would have loved to have got up and like squatted or something. That would have felt better, but he always says that I was bending the bar. I don't know how many people in town he has told this story to.
It's pretty amazing what they go through. First off, dads, guys, congratulations. It's about to get fun for you. It's pretty amazing what you'll watch your wife, partner go through. It's every bit as intense as you're going to learn about in here, times about 4. And just be patient with it all, because